Hi, and welcome to the Fantasy Impact. I'm Kyle McMurphy. This is my brother Todd McMurphy, and here's John Quaddy. Today we're going to talk about fantasy postseason implications, mainly why what Hideki Matsui did in the World Series shouldn't matter to you one bit, why Mariano Rivera is still the best closer going into next season, and why Jimmy Rollins' MVP year is long behind him. And now to John Quaddy about why we decided to make this fantasy podcast, videocast, and blog for you guys to begin with.
Thanks, Kyle. I am John Quaddy, and basically what we decided to do was we spend so much time on fantasy baseball through research and just, investing ourselves. And we decided to put it all kind of out there on the internet for all you guys. Hopefully you guys can learn something from it. We sure hope that we will by going through all this information. And yeah, that's basically it. Back to you.
And now to Todd for where to find us.
You can check us out at thefantasyimpact.blogspot.com and email us with any questions or observations at thefantasyimpact@gmail.com.
All right, let's start with the world champs. Namely, I want us to be talking about Alex Rodriguez. In the postseason, he had 15 runs, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs, and batted .365. Is that clutch hitting monkey off his back? How are you guys feeling about his confidence going into next year?
Alex Rodriguez, I'm buying the confidence. You know, I believe in him. I believe in him a little. Well, I hate him as a Yankee and being a Red Sox fan. I have that issue with him. But, however, 6 home runs in the postseason in comparison to his, I think, sub-100 postseason in the past. You know, .365 is an average. He's a strong player. He's going to have hip surgery. I'm going to watch his spring a little bit. But other than that, yeah, he's a top 5 player next year.
Quaid, are those roids behind him?
I think the roids are behind him, or if they're not behind him, well, it's not really going to matter because
they're in him.
For about half of the players out there, the roids don't really matter.
Right.
True.
Basically, it's all going to depend on the hip surgery. If he has the hip surgery and if it's going to set him back a little bit, I'm going to hold back just a bit. But if he doesn't, or if it's a relatively minor procedure, I think this guy is just, potential to be the best player.
He's looking to break records. He is looking to break records.
Absolutely.
Home runs are going to do that.
Your top 3?
He gets the monkey off his back. He's got no pressure on him. Top 3 easily.
He could be top 3.
If not,
he could be top 3.
Yeah, he could even end up being the best fantasy player.
I'm thinking top 3, 305 average career. Now I want us to talk about Hideki Matsui, the Godzilla. In the postseason, 5 runs, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, and batted .349. But in the World Series, he had 3 runs, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, and batted .615. What do you guys like about him going into next year?
To be honest, I think it really depends on where he ends up. If he can end up in a American League situation where all he has to do is DH for most of the time, he reminded me that he can hit this postseason. He really did. And he really can hit. I think he's capable of putting up numbers. And I also think that most people really think that he's not fantasy relevant. I think that he could have an impact in the right situation.
He could have an impact. I'm not buying it.
Mm-hmm.
He's injury prone. He had a wrist injury 2 seasons ago, I think it was.
Yep.
He came back. Yeah, he hit well in the postseason, but I'm not really buying it. Outfield eligible. He's probably going to be outfield DH next season. You're probably if you need help in the offense. Yeah, I'd take him as a 3rd outfielder,
yeah,
but he's going to be late. He's going to be late.
28 home runs, 90 RBIs regular season. Those
Over
are
under 25 home runs next year.
Again, I think it depends on the situation. If he ends up platooning with somebody, then it's going to be under. But if he ends up in a cushy DH role, I think he can hit 30.
Let's talk about Derek Jeter, the team captain. In the postseason, he had 14 runs, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, and batted .344. Solid as always kind of guy. What are you guys thinking?
Derek Jeter, team captain. I respect the numbers he puts up. There's nothing to hate about him. He's established. If you want an established shortstop, there's no reason not to take Derek Jeter. I think his average is probably going to drop back down towards the mean. I know he averages around .317 career. .330 I think is a little ridiculous. I like him. If he falls to me, I'd pick him in a late enough round.
Q?
Yeah, I really think that last year's stats were an aberration. Before that, for the last 3 years, all his numbers have been trending downwards. That being said, this year, he really turned it on, and even his fielding statistics. So I don't know if he's on a new training regimen or what. If he can keep that up, that's great. I'm not banking on it. I really think that it's going to, regress downwards. However, I do think he can keep that average up. If anything, I think the power will come down, but I do think he can keep that average up. Not saying he'll be at 330, but I wouldn't surprise me if he was around.
Right. Career
He only had
numbers.
18. He only had 18 home runs.
Look,
He's not going to put up 18 home runs.
Around 12.
He's not going to get 18 home
The
runs.
new Yankee Stadium helped him out, and
Yeah,
I really.
they're playing again next year in Yankee Stadium. You heard that?
I don't see it. It's trending downwards.
18.
Aberration here.
And now Robinson Cano over at the 2-bag. Little worried about him during the postseason. Only 5 runs, 4 RBIs, batted 180 during a breakout season. How do you guys feel about Robinson Cano?
Postseason wasn't great. I expect a good season from him. I'm taking him high. He's probably 3rd overall second baseman. Right next to Aaron Hill, I'm going to guess, right in that area. Aaron Hill inflated a little this
Utley,
season.
Aaron Hill, Robinson Cano.
Utley, Ian Kinsler, I still think is.
Anybody?
Yeah,
Ian Kinsler is still going to be
I don't know if I've got him
Ian
over
Kinsler's up
Pedroia.
there.
I've got him over
Pedroia.
Pedroia, but he's definitely right there in consideration. I think he's right after those 4. Yeah, this is absolutely a fluke. The postseason stats, the regular season we can look at, and he's got a bright future.
Loving Robinson Cano, that 320 average is sexy. Regular season numbers, 103 runs, 25 home runs, love that power. 85 ribbies and a 320 average.
Yeah.
Nothing to frown at there. Last guy on the Yanks slowed down a little bit in the World Series. Postseason 180 average for Mark Teixeira. You guys worried about the average at all?
Still,
I am not worried.
no, not at all.
If he could avoid that first month swoon that he's had the last couple of years, his numbers have nowhere to go but up. And you're going up from 103 runs, 39, 122, and batting 292.
And almost 300. Not only that, 10 runs, 2 homers, and 8 ribbies is nothing to scoff at. I mean, he's getting on base. He's come around the bases 10 times. 2 home runs. He's adding to it. No doubt in my mind, Teixeira is still a top 10 player.
The other thing to add about Teixeira is that when he came back, every Yankees numbers basically went up, especially A-Rod's. If A-Rod came back earlier, then Teixeira's numbers would have been, reverse it. Teixeira's numbers would have been through the roof.
Absolutely. More home runs next year, A-Rod or Mark Teixeira? T-Bone?
Mark Teixeira.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? It's A-Rod.
Mark Teixeira.
A-Rod's hit 50.
Mark Teixeira hit a slump. A-Rod's going to stick
You're
with it.
crazy.
I'm telling you.
That's ludicrous.
And now to the sorry losers, the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's talk about Ryan Howard here for a second. Postseason of 11 runs, 3 home runs, 17 RBIs, and a 278 average. Pretty close to what he did during the regular season. What are you guys thinking about Ryan Howard right now?
I love Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard's numbers in the postseason were fantastic, except for the World Series, obviously. But Ryan Howard, he looked like he was going to be trending downwards and really not being too fantasy relevant a couple years back. And then you can just see how much he's improved himself. Like, just physically and cutting down the strikeouts and raising the batting average. I think he's actually going to be trending upwards. I think that his best days are in front of him. And I would even go so far as saying he's the 2nd best National League hitter behind Albert Pujols, of course.
I think we're going to see him stay at the same level that he is right now.
Not a lot of upside.
There's just not a lot of downside.
Mm-hmm.
As far as postseason implications go, there are none. He stayed right on track.
He did,
right?
absolutely.
He had with 11 runs, 3 home runs, 17 ribbies, and hit 278 versus 279 that he hits during the regular season. I think he's staying on track. I think he's going to stay there. If you're looking for the same statistics that he put up this season, take him. I think you're probably going to see a small drop in average, but that's going to be it. He's maybe hitting 270 next
Don't
year.
forget the 8 stolen bases.
270, yeah, he can keep the 8 stolen bases. Yeah, he can keep the 8.
Definitely one of the scariest guys out there. Regular season numbers, 105 runs, 45 home runs, 141 ribbies, 279 average. I'm with my brother on this one. I think that average you're actually going to see that go down.